either live by the gun or you die by the sword.
Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Weird MicroViews. I'm Nicho.
And I'm Chris.
And it's been a while since we touched on Westerns, so we thought, why not add some aliens for some good measure?
You know what? There is nothing better than the classic question, who would win in a fight? Cowboys or aliens?
That's not a classic question that anyone has ever asked.
Not until today!
Or 2011, or whenever the comic came out.
That's true, yeah.
So, for those unfamiliar, Cowboys and Aliens is set in 1873 in a town with a rogue gunslinger, a sexy alien chick, and a cow rancher wrangling up a posse to save the world from aliens that are here to take our golden bodies.
And of course, the sheriff who says this town ain't big enough for all us and the aliens. No, this is the most, stereotypical Western, but with aliens thrown in, and I love it.
Oh, it's
beautiful! Okay, I haven't had this much fun with an alien movie since the Scooby-Doo Alien movie. Because they both take themselves so unseriously, but with the most, direct, it's not a joke of itself, necessarily. It is trying to be an Aliens and a Cowboys movie simultaneously. Mm-hmm. It's just the silliest concept.
Yeah, but it's taking it seriously. It's not like Ninjas versus Aliens, where it's very comedic.
No, it is not comedic. It tries to be serious. However, it is a little funny to watch the most star-studded cast that we've seen, that we've covered in a while. Oh, yeah. Have to pretend to be cowboys whose wives and lovers are being snatched by aliens.
Yeah.
It's a little silly.
No, it 100% is. I mean, it is a ridiculous concept. It's like...
Oh, yeah.
Like the recent movie that I just finished, Under Paris, where...
Yes!
And I'm going to bitch about that movie real quick, because...
Yes, you should.
The water is clear.
Yeah, and
it's France.
And also, as we know, it's in Paris, and we just talked about how... Or I guess we didn't. But Paris just talked about how they were upset that they were cleaning up the river for the Olympics. And we're talking about maybe we shouldn't swim in the river. There's historic evidence why we don't swim in the river.
Proud of how disgusting their water is.
You know what though? I can't blame them. It's a feature.
Sure. But Cowboys and Aliens is based on the comic by Michael Mitchell Rosenberg with screenplay by Roberto Orci, Alec Kurtzman, Damon Lindelof, Mark Fergus, Hawk Otsby, and screenplay by Fergus, Otsby, and surprisingly, Steve Odekirk, who some might remember as the writer-director in the Cho Simba of Kung Pao.
Yes, of course. And you know what? His hand in this does not go fully unnoticed.
No.
It's not a full heavy hand, but there is some comedic elements that, only he could think up.
Yeah, I mean, that's how Kung Pao ends, is a pyramid of
French aliens. Yes, no, he's struck again.
Yes. But as you said, it has a big star-studded cast. It has Daniel Craig as the lone gunslinger, Jake Lonergan.
Yeah.
Iconic scruffy nerf herder himself, Harrison Ford as Woodrow Darrowhide.
Yeah. And
Olivia Wilde as a less digitized version, because I couldn't think of any way to kind of poke fun at her.
Yeah, and here, everyone in this movie is someone that you will be able to recognize and be like, oh, that guy is from this movie, that guy's from this movie. However, it is impossible to watch this movie and not go, why is James Bond and elderly Indiana Jones in the West together?
With an elder Indiana Jones.
Yeah, exactly. Because, the way that they are allowed to act in this movie. They were clearly told, you're here because you're the cool star stud, and this movie's fun. Do you want to be part? And they were like, yes, I'm not going to change myself for this movie. They are not putting on a bunch of makeup. They are not putting on, amazing acts where you forget who they are and they're now the character. No. It is James Bond and, our delightful historian back at it again.
Mm-hmm. No. Well, also kind of almost more similar to his role in Tomb Raider.
It is very Tomb Raider. He's got the hat back and everything.
Yeah. And also in a very minor role, we can't forget the Avatar himself.
Of course.
Noah Ringer in the last role he was ever in as Emmett Taggart.
Of course. And I won't lie, I remember when this movie was released, I remember the commercials playing in theaters and my friends and I being like, this movie looks so stupid. However, this is a bunch of actors we do like. And so it was a big draw for us. Like, we would have probably seen it without the star-studded cast, but we were willing to pay movie theater money to go see this because of the stars.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailers for this, because I'd only been in the States about 2 years at that point, and I honestly wasn't interested in it. I thought it was one of the dumbest ideas I had ever heard of.
You weren't the only one.
Yeah, and granted, this is before I really started down the rabbit hole of the garbage I watch now, but...
Yeah, back when you had taste.
I wouldn't even say I had taste back then. I've been through my old movie journals. I've given some movies 10s out of 10s that I very well know are not 10 out of 10 movies.
We've grown, we've changed, we're better people for it. But no, this movie, I think no one, when it originally came out, I don't think a single person looked at the trailer and said, yeah, that's going to be a good movie.
No, not at all. And even then, like, when you do get into it, like, the start is very clearly attempts to be a Western with a little bit of oddity and, like, ooh, some old mystery with the ye old amnesia trope. Yeah,
and it's not even a subtle... None of the tropes are subtle. Because the amnesia trope isn't subtle. The abduction scene, like, at the very beginning, terribly unsubtle in its, like, reminiscence of other alien movies. And then we immediately get to town where there's bad outlaws and they're shooting up the town.
Well, it's not even, like, I know they're trying to be, like, a little sneaky, but it's called Cowboys and Aliens. It's kind of hard to hide that. And on top of that, like, that first abduction scene, it's not even an abduction scene. It's just them blowing up a shit ton of cows for who knows what reason.
Okay, the who knows what reason is honestly the only thing really holding this back from being a movie that you could, like, be like, I know it sounds silly, but it's actually pretty good. Because the movie is shot well. It looks pretty good for what it is. Like, the CGI is not that bad. The acting's decent, because, I mean, these are very talented people. Like, everybody in this movie is incredibly talented.
Yeah, I mean, you get to see a lot of skin on Olivia Wilde, and Daniel Craig has some nice eyes.
Oh, well, it's Daniel Craig in an old cowboy hat, and he is muddy and dirty the whole movie. Like, how can you go wrong? And Harrison Ford's in it for, good measure. So, like, these are actors who, even in their sleep, playing, like, pretending to be bad, are still good actors. And so, like, the movie looks decent. The soundtrack isn't that bad. Like, there's nothing to complain about. It's just the glaring, giant, questionable plots and points that the movie tries to make is the only thing really holding this movie back.
Don't even get me started with the plot of all this, because it makes no goddamn sense whatsoever.
No.
So, the aliens are only here to steal gold, is their main purpose.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, they're kidnapping people to just do the very standard alien trope of... Well, no, kind of. It's a little bit of a twist on it.
A little bit.
Because it's not just to study us, it's to fully dissect us. For what? For reasons?
I would have been okay if we had left it with the whole, like, oh, the aliens are abducting random people in the Old West, and, like, we don't know why. But they make it very clear that the aliens are here for gold. The other thing that the movie makes terribly obvious is we are in the New Mexico version of Ye Old West, which we've talked about before in our Western movies, where it's just like the endless desert and there's only like one town.
This is what I imagine Arkansas would be like because of the Route 66 song.
Understandable. So like this is like it's not even set in a gold rush town or a gold rush state. And like don't get me wrong, there was the whole, like, gold-ish rush in New Mexico, but if you're going to make that a huge plot point, why not set the movie somewhere where, like, it is famous for its gold rush, like California or Oregon, and instead it's in ye old Midwest, New Mexico-ish?
It's a cattle town.
Yeah, but it's in the desert version of the West, as opposed to, like, California West?
Texas West.
Or even Texas West. And the movie makes it very clear, like, the aliens want the gold. They, like, beam it out of the house at one point in the movie.
Well, no, that's all they're mining it, too, is, like, they've got some advanced technology that just pulls it from
the earth, which is fine and great, but, like, the movie is so focused in on being at, like, Ye Old West level of, like, the audience viewing it, that we can't even know if this is, like, a worldwide problem currently happening, or if there's just, like, just here. Yeah. Just here is the alien problem.
Yeah. Well, we know it's a little bit more because Olivia Wilde's character turns out to be alien because she, they think she's dead, but she's not. She's really alive.
Yeah, but it's so vague and unused plot device that you're like, okay, well, not gonna lie, I kind of forgot about this major plot point.
Yeah, no, they add like a bunch of like little bits here and there. Like they try to build up the town and like, we're supposed to care for it. They're kind of down on their luck, but they're a little bit tyrannized by Harrison Ford's character because he's the one who brings the money to the town. He kind of runs it with an iron fist, even though he's not like really the mayor or the sheriff.
No, everyone's role is so strange, and then like Daniel Craig's character is supposed to be this kind of like morally gray character, which normally for Daniel Craig, not a problem. It's like the perfect spot for him usually. This character's not really morally gray. He just needs money.
He doesn't
Poor isn't morally gray.
No, he doesn't even know what the fuck he's doing half the movie. He's just kind of there for the ride until he barely gets his memories back, and the only thing we get is that we don't know anything about his history other than he had a wife.
And he thinks he loves her.
And the wife's been kidnapped and been replaced now by hot alien chick.
And and like it's not even like a plot point in the movie where Daniel Craig's character has to fight the idea of like, oh, do I love new wife or do I love old wife? It's not even a question. He's just like, I'm on the roller coaster.
Wife good. Life good.
Yeah.
Alien take wife. Make me mad.
Make sad. An alien give new wife. Fine.
Alien wife blows up other aliens.
Yeah. And that's also the problem. The CGI in this movie does look fairly decent, so it is a fun watch to watch alien chick blow up other alien shit. Mm-hmm. And like it is fun to watch like things be like the alien robot arm come down and snatch original wife and whisk her away. Yeah. Like it's fun. There's just no plot.
No, not at all. And I think that's the biggest issue of this movie is because it tries mashing two genres together. It in a way, it makes me think of like Bone Tomahawk, where it takes a lot of those Western tropes and then just really seamlessly blends it together. Where in that one, the natives are even hated by the other natives.
Yeah, so they like really lean in.
Yeah, so it's that enemy of my enemy. But this one just goes through none of that to build up any of the characters because we're constantly bouncing around from, well, what's Daniel Craig's character doing? Well, he's trying to figure shit out. Oh, well, aliens come in. Oh, well, now he's got to go out. Well, they got to deal with the natives now. Oh, wait, he was the leader of this other gang at one point, but now they hate him, / he comes back like 2 or 3 times to win them over.
It suffers really badly from the syndrome that you addressed, like, I think last year about the then this and then this and then this, as opposed to having like a beginning, middle, and end to a story.
Yeah, it's the South Park thing where they brought it, where Matt and Trey brought up that this happens this happens, and so this has to happen because of that. I mean, it's not just their stuff. It's a very classic way to write movies. It's a cause and effect where this movie doesn't have it. It's just like, well, we got to have a posse, we got to have outlaws, we got to have aliens, we got to have Native Americans.
Yes. And don't get me wrong, those sorts of movies, classically, you and I have absolutely loved. Are they good? No. But, like, because of this and then this sort of nonsense is how you get, like, a wild and crazy story, as opposed to having, like, a well-thought-out beginning, middle, and end, Odyssey growth sort of thing.
Well, you can have a crazy story like Tetsuo the Iron Man, where... True. It very much it doesn't follow that, well, this happens because this it does follow this happens because this happened. And granted, it's an hour shorter than Cowboys and Aliens, but still, it's that driving force that makes a crazy and wild story interesting. Or like Mind Games, where it's a bit all over the place, but it makes sense because characters are forced into action. Whereas it's just like, well, the aliens came, they took our wives,
and like. That's the other thing on this. They took our wives. The people in this movie are clearly not... I know all of these actors and actresses who are in this movie have played Western-styled movies before and have received direction on how to play a Western character, and all of them were clearly told, like, oh, don't worry about it for this movie, because the costumes are all over the place, the writing for vocals is all over the place, the different use of speech is all over the place. Like, certain characters at the beginning are like, they took my folks, they took my kin, And you're like, okay, well, you say normal modern phrases for the rest of the movie. So why here? Why now?
I got a Western for us to watch at some point and do. It's called In a Valley of Violence.
It sounds beautiful.
It's Ethan Hawke, and it tries to be John Wick as a Western.
Oh, hell yeah.
Dog does die. His main bad guy's John Travolta.
Oh my god, it's perfect.
It's also got Karen Gillan, the chick from Doctor Who, and
I'm very well familiar with her.
Can't remember her name. One of the chicks from American Horror Story. She was in the Witch season. She's the girl who dies in season 1.
Oh yeah, I don't remember her name, but yes.
Yeah, it's something.
It sounds like something. And honestly, that's kind of the downfall to Cowboys and Aliens is. It's too good to be a bad movie, but it's too bad to be a good movie. It falls awkwardly in that middle line, which is too bad, because, like, it's honestly, like, a fun time, but it's too nice for me to, like, feel like I'm enjoying a, like, naughty little treat.
It falls into that realm of cinema that we talk about, where it's good if you don't think about it. If you just shut off your brain and let the movie happen, it all makes sense.
It is, yeah. But at the same time, that is the problem with it. Because it is slightly too good to have you, to like lure you into the mindless watching. Because the CGI is a little bit too good. The acting is a little bit too good.
Because 100% they're like, okay, the name is dumb. And the concept's a little out there, so we have to get big names into this movie, so that way people are like, okay, well, if these people are in it, then it must be something good, because everyone loves Harrison Ford.
Yes.
I don't know where Daniel Craig was at that point.
He had already been Bond.
Had he?
I think the first Bond had already happened by this point. But I could be wrong about that.
Oh, yeah. Skyfall was coming out the next year, okay.
Yeah, and that was his big one, yeah. He was already in Casino Royale by then.
Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace.
I forgot about that one, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, so...
yeah, no, he was already, like, and well-established. He was Bond.
That's then why they cast him as, like, okay, he's gonna be great in this.
Yeah, and, like, he was, but that's the problem. And I could have also ignored, like, these amazing actors and actresses if the CGI had been bad. If the CGI had been grainy or, like, shitty blood splurts, or like, oh man, it just looks like it's been placed over the screen instead of like incorporated into the world, then it would have been like okay, I can turn my brain off. This is a silly movie. Yeah. I'm to just enjoy it. But because I could have done that with these actors and actresses, because they have played other fun roles for me before. So I'm not having to worry about dissecting any like deep storyline necessarily.
No.
But the CGI is decent.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing, too, is, like, the aliens themselves are kind of interesting, where...
They are.
It feels a little fresh, but it brings up a lot of questions for me. For starters, I do think that they are cool.
They are.
I like their whole, like, inner double arms. It's kind of like a Moray Eel's, like, double jaw. Or, like, the alien double jaw, but hands.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, and, like, they had, like, a good bug plus reptile-esque design to them. They were very good.
They weren't your traditional probing greys.
No, and they weren't also just straight up a ripoff of Alien.
Yeah. But here are my questions about this movie. Every single Alien movie like this is... There's no attempt at any kind of communication whatsoever.
Correct.
The aliens are very much like these savages, and like they don't even have their own language, but they're able to like build a starship and fly it to our planet
and steal gold from us.
Yeah, and have the fortitude to be like, okay, well, we already kind of know where we're going, so our spaceship is going to try and look like the rocks, even though it looks absolutely fucking nothing like it.
Okay, this is something I have noticed before too, and I've had to give this a lot of thought. Because I have a whole group of friends that all we do all summer is bitch about shark movies and alien movies. And we have done this since high school. This is what our friendship was built on, is bitching about aliens and shark movies. And we have a very strong feeling that alien movies drastically felt the need to change when Alien came out and had its great success. Because it changed the idea that aliens needed to be uber smart for space travel, that like the mystery was the scary part. When Alien came out, it changed it to, they could be monsters. They could be hunting us down style monsters. But here's the thing. Alien franchise recognized, like, okay, we've created this monster, and then they go through and explain how the monster gets to places, why he is in places, and, you know, think what you want of with the rest of the franchise of Alien and Alien vs. Predator. But you cannot deny that they, like, truly did think through, like, all of the steps of the alien world.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone else who saw that and was like, okay, that is cool, did not bother to put the logic behind it into it.
Well, and the aliens or the xenomorphs from Alien are very much so that they're not supposed to be super sentient.
Exactly.
They're more instinctual creatures that are parasitic, that get carried. Yes. They're not the ones doing the space travel.
Exactly.
They're not at the helm of the ship driving naked to the destination, which that's another thing is, like, I get it with, like, the Greys and stuff, that's classic Alien.
Yeah,
lore.
They're so much more enlightened, they don't need clothes than us, sort of thought, yeah.
Or, like, it just, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense at all, because it just...
Because they wanted the spook of Alien, and a lot of Alien movies do. They want the spook that the original Alien movie had, but they don't want to put in the back work to figure out why it is just a monster with a spaceship.
Yeah. You know what it is? Mm-hmm. Because this is on my mind because we just watched it last night. It is A Quiet Place, but with an attempted goal.
I was wondering when you would bring up A Quiet Place, because my husband bitched about it to me for the entire ride home. I'm so glad you made him watch it.
Oh,
I hate that movie.
Oh, no, I do too. When we were trying to pick movies last night, that got brought up, and I'm like, sure. Like, I said it's fine.
The amount of plot holes in that movie is just so obvious and so upsetting. But here's the thing. Here's why. There are plot holes in Cowboys and Aliens. I will watch this movie so many more times than I will ever watch A Quiet Place again, strictly because I had fun watching Cowboys and Aliens.
I did too. That's the thing though, is it's so bad, and it's one of those ones where it's fun to bitch about.
It is. It really is.
Because unlike Quiet Place, it's like, it's just so insanely stupid how some of it works, and where what doesn't work, what works.
And and the stupidity falls on the humans in The Quiet Place, whereas this one, the stupidity falls on clearly the writers.
Yeah.
And, like, that's fine, honestly. Is it a waste of potential for a B-grade movie? Of course it is. Like, this could have been a fantastic B movie that then got a cult following. Or it could have been so bad, but, you know, delightfully so, that it hit Wild Wild West level cult. Of like, wow, this was terrible. I'm gonna own it and watch it every year.
Yeah, no, well, and that's the other thing too, is like, some of the stuff just doesn't make sense of, like, the wristbands that are this powerful weapon, but only Daniel Craig's character uses it, but they're not taking it off of the dead aliens.
Yeah, not sure about that. I won't lie. I have not read the comic that this was originally based off of. So maybe that explains a lot, and, like, you were really meant to, like, be a fan of one and then, like, come through and, like, really join the fandom here. I have no idea, because I had fun watching this movie, but I was not, like, drawn to, like, explore more of the world like I was with, like, Scott Pilgrim or something.
And I was the opposite. I was interested in the Scott Pilgrim movie because of the manga.
Yeah, and that's a really good example of, like, having it pull you in both directions. You're going to eventually end up in both. You might not like both, but, you know, you at least explored it.
Yeah.
Am I interested in the comic? A little bit, but not, like, a lot. Not enough to, like, hunt it down.
No, and I mean, they did try and do interesting things of, like, make it something different or something a little bit beyond, because, while also staying true to, and here's why I probably think the aliens are the way they are too, is it took the traditional Western savages, quote unquote savages, and replaced them with savage aliens. That's
true. We needed something to shoot at.
Yeah, it put the two usually opposing forces against a different kind of invader,
which is cool. I'm not gonna lie. I did enjoy, like, the amount of shooting ups that were given to me, because we just had random aliens running around.
Yeah, it's a nice tie to, like, the classic Western trope of the reason the natives are fighting is because we're an invasive people to them. But we're on the side of justice usually in the old Western movies.
I mean, that was kind of the trope. But, yeah, no, and that's the other thing that is nice, is this movie came out in, like, what, 2011-ish? Mm-hmm. We were well into the point of, like, cultural self-awareness that, like, most Western movies had to come to the realization that, like, we weren't the good guys, actually, in those stories. We were the invaders. And so, like, having a Western movie around this time usually meant that you were doing, like, a dark, gritty remake, or you were doing a dark, gritty Western in general. There wasn't a lot of, like, lighthearted shooting 'em up cowboys
No.
sort of things.
That era of Western died out way, way long ago, and we don't really see that even nowadays.
We don't. But the idea of, like, a guy on a horse, you know, chasing down a train, shooting his gun, you know, this town ain't big enough for the both of us. It is a fun trope, even if, like, culturally, we could have worked on it a little bit.
Yeah.
So having it be aliens that we're shooting does mean that I don't have to, like, think too hard about it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, obviously they're the bad guys.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's just one of those ones, because, like, even the ending is just really stupid. Like, it tries so hard. And unfortunately, this movie, every Western like this just makes me think, and I know they're film people, so they probably know Yojimbo.
Of course they do.
But it's like that, or A Fistful of Dollars, where it's the exact same thing of, like, the spaghetti Western of...
This was such a spaghetti Western ending, yeah.
It wanted to be, but it wasn't, too, because it was such a classic Western movie that
it was almost a parody of spaghetti Westerns, which are a parody of Westerns. But, like, not a full way. Like, it was clearly not thought out to be that way. And knowing who is on the writing and production staff, I would love a second attempt where it is a little more self-aware, it is a little bit more aware of the tropes, and a little obvious to the audience that, like, okay, we're poking fun at ourselves a little. Because then I think we would have hit it, like, all three trifectas of, like, okay, silly, can turn my brain off, but also, like, it's thought about itself a little.
Yeah, it's that same era where, like, I think Jonah Hex came out around the same time, too, where it was and granted, I know DC is supposed to be more serious, and...
They would like you to think so, but evidence points to the otherwise in some of their side stories and characters.
Yeah, well, I mean, I grew up on Adam West Batman, so...
The best Batman, honestly.
Yeah, so I'm used to the silly Batman. But, yeah, it's, I don't know. There was a lot of room for improvement, and I don't know if I really want to see... I think this is one that doesn't need a second attempt.
It sure doesn't. However, like, this level of big names, big writers, and producers taking a silly concept and running with it, I do think that, in general, is something I would like to see more of from, like, big corporations. We take ourselves so seriously in the movie world now.
Well,
and, like, we've exhausted so many other avenues. So why not have more, like, silly versus movies?
That's the unfortunate thing is these Hollywood-style movies, and we've heard complaints about it from, God, who was it? I think it was the director of the Silent Hill movie, the French guy.
Probably.
Where he brought up that, or it was him or... No, it was Clive Barker from Hellraiser, where he said that having to have an explanation for everything to cross the T's and dot the I's is a very American problem, which this movie, while it doesn't answer a lot, it tries to answer as much as it physically can without being too over the top, because we got a Vision Quest, we got a bunch of
we've got so much happening.
But honestly, for those types of movies, I know I'm going to piss off a certain someone about this, you gotta go to Japan for a lot of that shit now, because those are the types of movies that you want to see, like...
They have mastered the art.
Like Tokyo Zombie, Living Dead Idol.
True.
Any of the, like, very garbage zombie movies that they produce.
I would make an argument that I do think a full French cast could do a fun version of an alien spaghetti western very well. I also think the Italians could too, especially some of their new live actions that I've been watching, like... They have also hit good, like, balance of serious comedy where everyone's the straight man and you're just along for the giggles. Yeah. I think they could do it.
Well, and I'm not... And we do have ones in the West, too. I mean, I watched one recently that you would love this movie. It's heavily influenced by Japanese cinema, obviously.
Of course, it's coming from your mouth.
It's called Ike Boys.
Uh-huh.
And it's about two kids in the Midwest who get actually, that kind of ties into the Western a little bit in this, get a Japanese exchange student because she put on her application Indians. And get stuck with an Indian people,
gotcha.
Host family. And it's set right before Y2K. And
oh, beautiful. That sounds amazing.
They watch this DVD that turns them into superheroes to save the world.
That's amazing.
It is awesome. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, you got to go to the indie side, because, like, hell, Turbo Kid.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the concept is fun. I did enjoy watching this. Like, I'm not complaining at all that I spent over an hour and a half watching this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I did have fun. Am I glad that you own it and not me? A little bit, yeah.
So I guess it does come to that point in our show then, rent by streamer declined that we ever watched it, despite having an audio recording of us watching it.
That's fair. I think for once I will say rent. Like, if I find out one of my friends who's also, like, one part of the Alien Club, for some reason skipped this movie, we would be renting it and we would be watching it.
I am gonna say stream, because
Fair.
I would not recommend even paying
$3.49.
Exactly. Because you know they're going to charge this one for like $5 because it's a bigger studio. But that's the other thing too. Like, it's fun at times, but a lot of it is a slog to get through because it's so fucking slow trying to
It is.
do everything.
I will say, despite you giving me the DVD, I did want to watch this one twice. And I couldn't do that one day because I was working not from home. So I did rent this one.
Oh, geez. That's why you're saying rent.
That is why I'm saying rent, and here's also why I'm saying rent. The version you had, it does have the extra stuff on it, but why would I ever click to that on this DVD menu? Because I don't care. The one I bought came with all the extended edition and all the deleted scenes already built into it, and I think it was only like $4. Jeez. And it was the HD version, and so like I'm not mad that I did rent this, and I enjoyed it greatly.
It sounds like you bought it. You didn't rent it, you bought it.
No, I rented it. I have it for 48 hours digitally.
That's dumb.
A little bit, but like I did get to see all the extended scenes that I honestly would not have clicked on the DVD menu whatsoever. I got to see all the deleted scenes that, again, I would never have gone looking for on this DVD. I would have watched just the straight up normal version. And I did watch the straight up normal version because I watched your DVD first. I enjoyed it. Knew I was going to be out, needed some background tunes to help me get through my workday. I'd already seen it recently. It was a decent spend of $5.
Okay. Well, that's how much I probably spent on the DVD, so.
Honestly, understandable and fair.
And I watched it twice because I hadn't seen it originally, so.
It's a fun movie.
It is. And I know we talk about a bunch of shit with it, but I mean, that's the truth of it is.
Yes.
There's so much of it that doesn't work, even though, like, they try so hard to mash up genres, and it just.
It is a mess, but it is a mess starring people that you know and love. The plot is honestly pretty good. It's not over the top, like, horror-ish or gore-ish. Like, it's pretty safe for everybody to watch. Mm-hmm. It's a good summer party watch. You
can scare maybe, like, a 5-year-old with it.
Maybe. And, like, honestly, it'd be, like, a tee-hee funny scare, so, like, maybe do it.
I'm not watching this again with anyone around.
Understandable. But, yeah, like, if you're having a group of friends over, like, this is 100% worth throwing on. It's fun to at least, like, bitch about.
Oh, no, exactly. But it's not like A Quiet Place, where A Quiet Place is annoying to bitch about because...
Correct. I will never watch A Quiet Place again because of how annoyed I was. I will watch this again because I thought it was so silly.
Now someone out there is going to make us want to watch A Quiet Place.
That's fair. You'll get a very long rant about the corn.
Oh, yeah, that was a big bitching point at our part, too.
Yeah, the corn is wrong. I'm so mad that they spent so much time and money on the corn.
We'll leave it there.
We will.
Anywho, this has been The Good, the Bad, the Weird MicroViews.
Thanks for listening.
Peace. Thank you for stopping by this here town of the good, the bad, and the weird. We appreciate your listenership, and if you want more of our takes in your life, feel free to check us out on social media at The Good, the Bad, and the Weird Podcast, or TGTBTW for short. As well, if we missed a fact, your favorite part of a movie, or just have a suggestion and want to reach out and say howdy, feel free to email us at tgtbtwpodcast@gmail.com. And feel free to join our Discord at The Good, the Bad, and the Weird Podcast, where we talk about movies, just share random banter here and there. And always, check out our podcasters, streamers, or any other content creator we shout out in our episodes. We really appreciate it. And as always, thank you for listening. Peace.